One girl was telling her mother that she was very hungry. Her mother says that she was also very hungry, but that she believed that God would help them. At that moment, a man was going to throw something in the trash. The girl's mother asks the man not to throw away the food, but the man says that he would not give them that food and that they should look for a job. She then walks over to the food the man threw away and her daughter asks if that food hadn't fallen on the floor. The woman said no, and at that moment the man goes to her and there is already food on the floor. She then asks him why he did it, since it was the only food she had. The man said it wasn't fair to a girl and said she didn't deserve to have to eat food from the garbage. The woman said her daughter didn't deserve to go without food either. She said it was necessary to do that, because she had nothing else. The man then said he had a proposal and asked, who of them wanted a good food? The people who were there say they wanted what the man was offering. The woman then asked the man if he was really going to do that and he said yes. He then tells us that this was the perfect opportunity for him to leave a good deed to the world. Later, they were scared and they seemed to be very happy. The woman then thanks the man for giving food to her daughter and her friends. She said that life there was very difficult and that people looked at her in a very bad way. She said that living that way made her feel like she wasn't a human being, but the man told her that she was clearly a human being and that she should be more proud of herself. He said he knew she was a very beautiful person. She then thanks the man for everything he had done for them and says that she wishes more people like him existed. The man then says that what he had done that day did not determine whether he was a good person or not. He said he just did it to feel better about himself. He then asks a woman if she could be anything that day, what she would choose. She says she would choose to have a lot of money so she could buy a house for her daughter. She said she would also try to help others who were living on the street. She then asks the man what he would be if he could be a different person. He says that at the right time she would find out and then says that she had given him an idea. He says that from that moment on, they could live in his house. They are very surprised by this and then ask the man if he was really telling the truth. He said yes, that he wanted them to live with him. The woman asks why the man is doing it and he says that at the right time she would find out. They then leave, but first, he tells the girl that she wouldn't need it anymore. Before they leave, the man asks the woman if she has any dreams of her life. She said that she had a big dream in her life and that she hoped one day she could make it come true. She says her big dream was to have a big house so her son could stay. She says this would be a big dream as she could leave her son safe and still take her friends with her. She says that this way she and her family would no longer go hungry and that it would make her very happy. The man realizes that the woman's dream wasn't about her and then thinks of something. He asks her if she would like to go to his house and she said she would be very happy to be able to go to the man's house. He said that she would be treated very well in his house and so she is very happy about it and agrees to go to the man's house. They go home and the other woman asks the man if they could really live there. He says yes and that now, that was their home. Some time passes, they were very happy to be living in that house. The woman's daughter says that she seemed to be very happy to be living in that house and as she looked at the man, the woman said that she was actually very happy to be living there. The girl then tells her mother to talk to the man, and the woman goes to him. She goes up to the man and says she needs to deliver something to him. He asks her if she was enjoying living in his house and she said yes. She then picks up a note, hands it to him, which makes him very happy. When he realizes that on the note it was written here, she liked him very much, he is furious and says he didn't want that. He then leaves, leaving the woman not understanding what was happening. Sometime later, the woman goes up to the man and tells him that she had made him a cup of coffee. He is very happy at first, but soon he is furious about it and says that if he wanted something, he would prepare it himself, that he didn't need anyone to prepare anything for him. He then gets up and walks away, letting it read, not understanding what was happening. Some time passes and the man wakes up in his bed, coughing profusely. She was then leaving and the man asked where she was going. She says that this was no longer her house, but he says that this was their house and that he wanted them to stay there. The woman says that the man was mistaken and that this was his house. She says that the house operated by his rules and that they would never be able to live there. She then reveals that her friends had already left along with her daughter. The man asks where they had gone and the woman says that they have gone back to live on the street, the place where they should never have left. He then says that he had given them everything they needed to stay there and says that he didn't want them to leave, but the woman says that she had thought he was a good person, but that she turned out to be wrong. She said he was a very selfish person, but he says she didn't understand the situation he was going through. She then says that she would never understand what the man was going through and that she didn't want to understand either, as she wanted to leave and never come back. He asks her to come back, but she tells him that they will never see each other again, as she had already shown her feelings to her and regretted it. When she leaves, the man tells us that his days were running out and that the only person who made him happy was leaving his life. Sometime later, an employee of the man goes to the woman and her children and tells her that the man had asked her to come home. She said she had already told the man that she would never return to that house and asked her employee to tell the man to stop trying to get them to move back into that house. The clerk tells the woman that he needs to talk to her about something very serious and asks them to accompany him to the house. She then agrees to this and goes to the house with the employee. They then go to the house and the woman asks if the man was coming to talk to them. The clerk says the man wouldn't arrive and that he had left a message for them. The woman says the man had said he needed to talk to them and asks what that message was. The employee then pulls out a laptop and tells him that he needs to show the woman something. He then shows a video where the man was telling the woman that if they were watching that video, it was because he would no longer be with her. He then tells her that since he first met her, his life has changed a lot. He says that since they came into his life, he has felt a lot of joy and that he was able to feel for the last time what it was really like to have a family. He says that since they moved into his house, his last days of life were very happy and that he is very grateful to them for that. He says that their presence in the house brought so much joy to his heart and that he was truly grateful that they had provided it for him. He said that his house was very big and that he always felt very lonely in that house, but that in their presence, he was able to understand what was really missing in his life. He says that even though some people came to his house, he never felt like he had a family and that they provided it for him. He says that their presence in that house made the environment much better and that he was finally happy to be able to be in that house. He said that he no longer felt alone and that their presence was very important to him. The man then tells the woman that he has met her. It was the best thing he did, because the woman was able to bring love into his life. He says that meeting her finally made him want to live. He says that for all that they had done for him, for the opportunities that they had let him have, he wished he could reward them in some way. He said he thought long and hard about what he could do to be able to repay those people for everything they had done for him and that he eventually remembered what the woman had told him about her dream of having a big house for her son and his friends. The man says that it gave him an idea and he finally understood what he could do for the woman. He said that he had obtained the woman's documents and that he was able to prepare a document for her to sign so that she could keep everything he had for her and her son. He said that this way, all she had to do was sign the documents and the house and everything he had would be hers. He told her that everything he had would be hers, just as his heart had always been hers, and that now she could understand the reason for some of the attitudes he ended up trying to have with her. He says that even though he loves her very much and wants to be by her side, he couldn't do that to her because he knew that love would never be able to continue because he wouldn't be by her side. He said that this would be very unfair to the woman, and for that reason, he can't let this love continue, and that was the reason he couldn't live what he wanted to live next to her. He then says that the only thing he wanted her to know was that she was also the most important thing that had happened in his life and that he really wanted to be by her side, even if he couldn't. He then asks her to take good care of his home and that he hoped she would be happy, and then says goodbye to her. As the video ends, the woman begins to cry and her daughter and son hug her. The clerk then takes the woman the documents she needed to sign in order for her to keep that house. And then he says he hoped she would be very happy in that house. The woman thanks the clerk for everything he had done, and then he said that if she needed something, she could call for him, that he would come quickly to help her.